The show kicks off with our main girl, Ran, who's just hit 30. Back in high school, she used to be the whole package: beauty, charm, the princess vibe, and all that. Now life's tossing her around like crazy. She runs this tiny game dev startup, and the project she's working on is a romance game. Problem is, she can't find anyone willing to fund it. On top of that, she's drowning in salaries, rent, bills, and every kind of stress you can imagine. She's basically like, "Y'all really think I'm rich or something?" She goes around meeting every business guy she knows, and even the ones she doesn't, trying to land a sponsor. But everyone keeps telling her the same thing: her project is weird and probably won't make it. Then the story cuts to Yen, the guy behind a super popular radio show called Haisha. It's a stage name he uses because he doesn't want people knowing his real identity. His show is blowing up. Literally, everybody listens to it. Even when Ran hangs out anywhere, she finds the whole place tuned in to the same program. Once Yen finishes his broadcast, his manager calls him, telling him to get a real radio job before he ends up broke. The show might be popular, but the money barely covers anything. Yen sticks to his guns, though. He wants creative freedom, not some corporate-controlled gig. His manager just sighs and reminds him that the person renting half of his apartment is about to show up. And of course, that person is Ran. No intro needed. Ran arrives at Yen's place to rent half the apartment, and she's so broke she can't even afford movers. Yen ends up helping her, just so she doesn't struggle any more than she already is. From the moment he sees her, it's obvious he's into her, and that he's known her from way back. She kind of feels like she's seen him before too, but totally forgot they went to the same high school. After everything's moved in, Yen walks up with the lease contract in hand, ready for her to sign and start paying rent. Ran keeps stalling, and Yen eventually realizes she's doing it just to dodge paying the rent. So he insists she at least signs the contract first. Right then, Ran's manager calls her and tells her there's a high school reunion happening the next day, and that Lon, a potential investor who might actually fund her romance game, is going to be there. Ran doesn't even hesitate. She's all in. The next day, she walks into the reunion looking ridiculously good, and everyone's staring. She starts scanning the place for Lon, so she can pitch her game. What she doesn't notice is Yen standing behind her, keeping an eye on her every move like he's on silent watch duty. When Ran finally approaches Lon to explain her game and how romantic it is, Lon basically hits her with the "Girl, you've been single your whole life. Where'd you get all this romance experience from?" And at that exact moment, Yen happens to walk by. Ran grabs him, acting like he's her boyfriend, just to shut everybody up. The whole room freezes because Yen is cute but looks way younger than her. Ran plays it off like their ages don't matter, just like the storyline in her game, and drags him aside, promising she'll explain everything later. When she goes back to talk to Lon again, Wong shows up, a big deal executive at a major tech company. Ran tries pitching her project to him too, but he's not really buying it either. Frustrated and done with the night, she leaves the event, only to trip in those fancy heels she's absolutely not used to. Her friend Bai shows up, helps calm her down, then heads off to meet her boyfriend, leaving Ran alone. Ran ends up drinking to forget the disaster of the night and the fact that she couldn't land a single sponsor. She breaks down crying until Yen spots her, buys her a pair of comfy slippers to replace her broken heels, and takes her home. But she's so drunk she can't even remember her own door code, so Yen brings her back to his place instead. They get way closer than expected when she accidentally ends up on top of him and even kisses him by mistake. That moment triggers Yen's old memories, back in high school when he used to watch her from afar, totally into her while she never even noticed he existed. Yen went to the same high school as Ran, but he was younger than her back then. He picks her up, puts her to bed, and spends the rest of the night cleaning up while she sleeps it off. When she finally wakes up, she finds herself lying in Yan's bed while he steps out of the bathroom. He reminds her that he helped her out last night, but she caused a bit of a mess, so he fixed everything, and all of that is getting added to her bill. Ran leaves completely confused, not even remembering what happened. Meanwhile, Yen is floating in his own little world thinking about last night, butterflies and all. The next day, Ran heads to her tiny company. She's working with Ko, who's technically supposed to be the operations manager, but since the company isn't making a single penny, he basically just cleans the office. Then there's Chong, their programmer, who's lazy and barely wants to work. After him comes Chun, the sweetest one on the team, still holding on to hope that the company will make it someday. And the last one is Bing, the animator behind their game. Ran starts organizing the whole crew because Ms. He, Bing's rich mother, is coming to visit. They're desperate for anyone to invest in literally anything at this point, but things are already a mess between them. Ms. He arrives with her son, looks around the place like she stepped into a disaster zone, and tells them their ideas are cute but nothing but dreams. She wants to see a real project. Then she just leaves. Right when everything is crashing down, Ran gets a call from someone at Wang's office asking them to develop a game for him. She accepts instantly. At this point, she'll take any job as long as it brings in money. Funding their own game can wait. Survival comes first. After that, she asks Bing to find her a voice actor to work with them. She goes home and listens to sample recordings all night until Yen walks in complaining, acting like the noise is an excuse to start something with her. The next day, she goes to the office to meet the voice actor Bing found, and it turns out to be Yen. She loses it, complaining to Bing about how she barely escaped him at home just to find him here too. But Bing reminds her that Yen agreed to work for them for free. The moment Ran hears the word free, she switches into full hype mode, acting like his biggest fan ever. She starts gassing him up like crazy, pretending she follows all his work. Yen tests her by asking about a few of his episodes, and that's when he realizes she's never listened to him a single time. He tells her that if she's gonna lie, she should at least commit, and that he doesn't need fake hype anyway. When he checks their script, he makes a ton of edits and tells them to fix everything first. They agree right away. After work, it's raining like crazy, and every taxi in sight is charging double. She calls Bing asking if he could come pick her up. But when she steps outside, Yen is already waiting for her, saying that he could take her in his way as long as they're heading to the same place. After she gets home, her partner Yang calls, saying the studio will cost way more at night and the only cheap slot is in the morning. She tells him to book the morning session. The next day, she goes to Yen, but he refuses because he never records in the morning. He even hangs up on her. But then he feels bad and decides to do it anyway. He wakes up early, finds she already fixed the script and made him breakfast, and they head out. His manager is shocked when he sees Yen recording in the morning, the same guy he used to beg and guilt trip just to get him out of bed. While they're there, they run into Jiang, another radio host who works with Yen. Ran absolutely loves Jiang's show, and Yen knows it because he hears her blasting it all the time. He keeps blocking her from getting near him, acting like she's not allowed to be a fan of anyone else unless she's a fake fan. She keeps insisting she's a fan of his show and nothing else, lying through her teeth, and he knows it, but they both pretend the other isn't lying. Yen ends up finishing 2 full days of work in one session, and his manager is stunned. He's like, since when do you actually work this hard? But Yen ignores him, like always. When Ran gets home, Bing tells her she should start listening to Yan's show, so she doesn't embarrass herself again if he asks. One day, she hears really pretty music coming from Yan's place, so she heads over to ask him for the name of the track. When Ran finds out the song she likes is one Yen made himself, she asks if she can use it for her game. He shuts her down immediately because it's part of his own show and kicks her out. But the next morning, she wakes up to a brand new track he composed all night just for her. When she runs into him on her way to work, she thanks him, and he insists on giving her a ride since they're heading the same way. When she gets to the office, she finds her whole team still awake from the night before, grinding to finish their project. She hypes them up to keep going. Meanwhile, Bing is out with his mom at a restaurant, trying to convince her to invest in their company. He starts flattering her like crazy to soften her up. Coincidentally, Bai is sitting at the next table watching the whole thing. She thinks he's flirting with an older woman to milk her for money, so she starts throwing shade from across the room to ruin his chances. It works. His mom gets annoyed, refuses to invest, and leaves him there. Bing is furious at Bai and decides to ruin her meeting too. He pretends he knows her, claims she's married, and even says he attended her wedding. The guy she's meeting gets uncomfortable and leaves. Later, Bai meets with Ran, who asks her to join their company because they need more artists like her. She even tempts her by saying the office is full of cute guys, the perfect place to meet someone new after her breakup. Bai gets excited and agrees. But when she shows up at the office, she's shocked to see Bing there. They immediately start fighting again. Bai tells Ran to be careful of him because he scams women, and Ran has to explain that the older woman Bai saw him with was actually his mother. Bai basically wants to sink into the floor. Meanwhile, Yen goes with Ran to a meeting with Wang, the guy funding the project. Yen instantly dislikes him. The guy gives off weird energy, and Yen doesn't want Ran dealing with him at all. He even considers dropping the job entirely just so she doesn't have to work with someone like that. But Ran tells him he doesn't understand. A project like this is crucial for her company, and she can handle Wang herself. Back at the office, Bai and Bing keep messing with each other nonstop. When Bai hears that Bing is going to meet Yen, she tags along and brings milk tea for Yen. He ignores her completely. When she finds out Jiang is coming too, she gets overly excited and starts talking about how Ran has been his fan for 10 years. Bing panics, trying to shut her up, and quickly jumps in saying that was all in the past, that Ran is only a fan of Haisha now, meaning Yen. Then he drags Bai away before she ruins anything else. Yen can't tell if he's jealous of Jiang or annoyed with Wang, or both. He spends the whole night wanting to text Ran, but has no idea what to say. She's the same way, hesitating over every message, until she finally decides to go talk to him in person. She brings him a limited edition copy of a graphic novel he loves, the same one that inspired the name Haisha. He's excited for a second, thinking she finally remembered something from their past, but she explains she only noticed the poster in his place and figured out he named himself after a character in the story. She came to convince him to keep working with Wang, and she's giving him the book as a trade. But the moment Yen remembers how weird Wang was with her, he gets irritated and starts questioning why making money matters that much. Ran gets hurt by the comment and just thanks him for worrying, then tells him he's still young and wouldn't understand her situation. She leaves the book behind and walks out, and Yen is left feeling guilty, replaying their memories in his head. The next day, both of them want to reach out but keep overthinking it. Ran gets a call from Wang telling her that if Haisha doesn't stay on the project, he's canceling the whole deal with her company. She's torn and goes back to working on the project, hoping Yen will eventually agree. Later that night, Yen is stressed and wants to patch things up with her, but he doesn't know how. He even asks Bing to come over and play video games just so he can distract himself, but Bing tells him he's pulling an all-nighter at the office. Meanwhile, Wang keeps dodging the last payment he owes Ran. He won't answer her calls, and when she goes to his company, his assistant lies and says he's not there. But when one of his investors shows up, he welcomes her in personally as if nothing's wrong. When Ran brings up the money, he avoids the topic again. She leaves the building in the rain, completely soaked, and ends up getting sick. But she still has work to finish, so she keeps grinding on the project from home while feeling miserable. Yen shows up at her place pretending he needs her to sign the rent receipt she forgot to pay, but the truth is, he just wants to check on her. The moment she opens the door, he notices she's sick and that she's got a cut on her foot from her heels. He leaves to grab bandages, cleans the wound for her, and while they're standing there, she suddenly gets dizzy. When he helps steady her, he realizes she's burning up. He tries to take her to the hospital, but she refuses because she still has work to finish and insists the medicine will kick in soon. So he decides to stay with her just in case anything happens. She keeps getting weaker until the meds knock her out, and he tells her to get some sleep while he wakes her later to finish her work. He spends the whole night next to her, giving her water and watching over her. When he sees a pillow with Zhang's face on it near her, he quietly tosses it aside. She starts talking half asleep about the spicy veggie noodles her mom used to make whenever she got sick, and he listens to her with this soft look in his eyes. Then he sits down and works on her project for her, finishing everything she couldn't do. By morning, she wakes up to the smell of food and finds out he actually made her those exact spicy noodles. She lights up, thanks him, and even tells him about her obsession with the spicy duck from the shop next door. He teases her, telling her she can have it once she gets better. She's shocked when she realizes he completed her entire project with perfect detail. Meanwhile, he's already at the duck place grabbing a box for her. That's where he runs into Jiang, who immediately figures out the food is for the girl Yen likes. Jiang starts giving him advice about dealing with older women, warning him that no girl would eat greasy food in front of someone she's into, and since she didn't care about that around him, she probably doesn't see him that way. Yen gets annoyed and walks off. When he reaches her place again, she doesn't answer the door, and he gets worried. He ends up letting himself in, not realizing she's in the shower. She hears him and casually tells him to wait for her until she's done. His mind jumps back to Zhang's words, and he starts thinking she's this comfortable around him only because she's not interested. He leaves the food on the table and walks out. Later, she comes out, sees the duck he brought, and gets super excited, dancing while she eats it. Then she gets a call from Chen, one of her employees, saying she's going to Wang's office to show him their presentation and push for the final payment. But when Chen arrives, the secretary tells her Wang wants to see her in his private office. As soon as she goes in, he starts talking about random, unrelated things, inching closer and trying to touch her. She gets uncomfortable, pulls away, and leaves in shock from what just happened. One day, Yen's manager gets an offer from a gaming company asking Yen to record voice lines for their new game. When Yen checks the project details, he realizes it's the exact same pitch Ran originally presented to Wang. That's when it hits him. Wang stole her work and sold it to a competing company. Yen tries to reach Ran to warn her, but she doesn't pick up. Around the same time, Ran starts noticing that Chen is acting strange and spaced out. When she asks what's wrong, Chen completely breaks down and tells her everything Wang did to her, including the creepy messages and photos he kept sending afterward. The whole team gets furious and decides they're done letting him get away with this. They find out he's attending an important meeting with industry people, so they plan to confront him there. Yen heads to the same place with the same goal. They both end up facing Wang in front of everyone. Yen exposes the stolen project, and Rand plays a recording she secretly made when discussing her original pitch with him, solid proof that she's the real creator. They threaten to go public unless he pulls the project back from the other company, apologizes to every woman he harassed, and finally pays them the last installment he's been avoiding. He caves immediately. A little later, Lon, the investor Rand originally wanted to work with, shows up and tells her she had no idea Wang was that disgusting. She explains that Wang pitched her Rand stolen project, and she hated the whole situation. That's why she wants to partner with Rand directly. She introduces her to John, a department head at her company, and tells Rand to contact him about future plans. But Rand's mood shifts instantly. John is her ex, the one who abandoned her back then. Yen recognizes him too and gets irritated, remembering how John hurt her before. He pulls Rand away from the event and takes her home. Not long after, Rand has a dream where she kisses Yen, and she wakes up embarrassed that her mind went there. She starts avoiding him completely. Yen doesn't get it and becomes annoyed, wondering why she's suddenly acting like he did something wrong. She keeps running and he keeps popping up everywhere. She goes to the supermarket to escape him, but he shows up right behind her even though he doesn't buy snacks, milk, soda, nothing. He just follows her around. When Bai sees them together, she starts doubting his feelings and decides to invite him out for a meal just to ask him about his emotions. Ran and Bing, of course, are not happy about this at all, and honestly, we all know why. Yen doesn't say anything at first, but she keeps telling him that he's not Rand's type, that she likes mature men, not young guys. Meanwhile, John meets Bai and tries to get her to help him reconnect with Ran, hoping he can work his way back into her life. Since Bai didn't know why Ran and John broke up, she agrees to meet him and calls Ran, telling her that she's waiting at her favorite countryside restaurant. Yen overhears her talking to John and arranging the meeting, and jealousy instantly spikes inside him. When Ran walks into the restaurant, she's shocked to see John there. He tries to speak to her, but she refuses to listen. When he reaches for her hand, Yen steps in, pulls her away, and walks her out. Even though they leave in the wrong direction and exit from the back of the restaurant instead of the main door, Ran refuses to go back inside. Yen shows her the view behind the restaurant, explaining that he loves coming there to record nature sounds, birds, wind, water, and play some of his recordings for her. The peaceful atmosphere lifts her mood, and he tells her that whenever she needs help or feels upset, she can come to him. The next day, Ran vents to her friend about the whole situation, complaining about how Yen showed up to save her. She insists her friend shouldn't interfere in her life, since she doesn't even know why she and John broke up. Ran finds out that Jiang is throwing a fan event to celebrate his 10-year anniversary, so she decides to go. That's when it hits her that she hasn't listened to his music in a while because she's been focused on Haisha. When Haisha sees a fan post on Jiang's page saying that Ran is attending, he suddenly decides to show up too, something he never does. Ran arrives fully disguised with a mask, glasses, and a hat, basically announcing her identity without meaning to, and she gets recognized instantly. Halfway through the event, she realizes Haisha is there, and she wishes the ground would swallow her whole. She tries to slip out, but her fan friends drag her back to her seat. When the time comes to pick random fans for photos, Ran's friend gets chosen. Then they ask Haisha to pick the next number, and he ends up choosing Ran. When she goes on stage, he insists she remove the mask and glasses because it's a photo moment and she shouldn't ruin it. She reluctantly takes them off. Jiang recognizes her immediately and introduces her as one of Haisha's fans. Basically, if she survived the chaos with Yen, she's not surviving this fan-based drama either. Later at home, she runs into Yen, and he keeps teasing her about the whole situation, which only annoys her more. Almost like he's jealous, but pretending he's not. At one point, Yen asks Jiang for advice on behalf of a friend who liked a girl in college, and she doesn't remember him. Jiang tells him that the guy shouldn't say anything until he understands why she changed so much from who she used to be. That pushes Yen to dig into Ran's past with John to figure out what really happened. He tries to get info out of Bing, but Bing catches on immediately and assumes Yen just wants details for a show. That night, Yen sees Ran stepping onto her balcony and decides to talk to her directly. He learns that her relationship with John changed her completely, pushed her to mature fast, and left her with no time or interest for love anymore. Meanwhile, John keeps messaging Bai nonstop, begging her to help him talk to Ran again. She eventually gets fed up and agrees to meet him just to end things politely. But he clearly doesn't get the hint, because after the game release, he sends everyone gifts pretending they came from the investor. Rand immediately figures out what he did and calls him out for it. The only person more annoyed than her is Yen, who gets jealous the moment he hears John sent her something. His mood switches instantly. He refuses to work for the rest of the day, but after cooling off, he apologizes and things go back to normal. Rand is working late when the power in her apartment suddenly cuts out. She has an important deadline, her laptop is about to die, and she's terrified of the dark, so she heads straight to Yan's place to finish her work. He doesn't complain and lets her stay, and she keeps practicing her presentation while Yan gives her tips, adds backup points, and prepares her for every possible question the investors might throw at her. On the day of the presentation, she finds out that John is one of the people deciding whether they'll get the investment or not. That alone raises the tension, but Rand stays focused. Once he walks in, John immediately starts giving her a hard time, asking every single question Yen trained her for. She handles it like a pro, impressing the whole room. But John pushes further and tells her that if their game's early demo can score above 80%, he'll approve the project. Rand accepts the challenge. Later, the whole team gathers at Yan's place to relax, eat, and celebrate getting through the day. When they ask her how she knew John would ask those specific questions and start joking she must have planned things with him, she explains that those were all Yan's predictions. At that moment, Yen steps outside to take a call, and nudges Rand again about her breakup with John. Rand finally decides to tell them everything to get them off her back. She explains how, back in university, she fell deeply for John and made him the center of her world. When he told her not to take the internship that all her classmates were doing, she listened, sacrificing her future for him. Then one day, he stopped replying for days. She found out by accident that he had flown abroad with another girl. When she confronted him, he told her she wasn't his type anymore and walked away like she meant nothing. Her whole life fell apart. She spent 6 months depressed, realizing she had wasted the most important time of her early career chasing someone who didn't value her. That's when she learned the hard way. No matter how much you love someone, your career is the only thing that truly protects you. When she finally pulled herself back together, she started working in cafes and part-time jobs because she was far behind her classmates. She took the lowest pay, put up with everything, and fought her way back. And during that process, her dreams shifted from wanting to become John's wife to wanting to build her own company. Yen overhears everything Rand says about her past and starts feeling even more for her. He finally decides he's going to confess his feelings, but waits for the right moment. Meanwhile, Rand and her team focus on polishing the game. When they finally launch it, the rating goes above the target, but John calls back with another excuse, this time claiming the score is high, but the number of downloads is too low. If they don't boost downloads in the second stage, he'll cancel the contract. Rand is pulled right back into another stressful cycle, and Yen keeps looking after her the best he can. He even asks his celebrity friends to promote the game, and the plan works. The downloads hit 10,000, so Rand goes out with Bing to celebrate. She ends up drinking too much, and when Yen and Bai find her passed out, Yen takes her home. That night, he finally says everything he's been holding in, even though she's asleep. The next morning, she remembers bits of what he said, gets nervous, and starts avoiding him. He confesses again, clearly this time, and tells her he'll wait for her. Rand keeps running from her feelings until the day she gets a call saying he was in an accident. She panics, rushes over, and the moment she sees him safe, she breaks down. Holding him makes everything click. She really does love him. She admits it, and he's over the moon. After that, they officially start dating, go on real dates, and basically merge their lives. Rand and Bing even plan a group trip for the whole team. Rand keeps treating Yen formally in front of everyone, pretending they're not together, which annoys him, but he tries to understand. When she finally notices how he feels, she announces their relationship in front of everyone. Meanwhile, Bai keeps trying to get Bing to notice her, but he's completely clueless. Even when she drags him into her hobbies or pretends they're together to chase away some annoying guy, he denies everything and acts like he doesn't get it. When the guy starts causing trouble, Bing just hands him money to leave, which drives Bai crazy. Then comes the chaos of jealousy. Yen had asked a famous actor to promote Rand's game in exchange for Yen appearing on a popular show with his face on camera, something he never does since most of his fans don't even know what he looks like. But once the episode airs and people finally see his face, his popularity blows up, especially among girls. Rand watches all of this happen in real time, burning with jealousy. But even their arguments don't last long, because the moment Yen shows up with food, everything goes back to normal, which, honestly, is the quickest and most effective way to fix any fight. Yen and Ran kept living their soft little love story, warm and steady, until one day Yen's mother suddenly appeared. She was surprised to see them together, but what really shocked her was finding out that Ran was 6 years older than him. She didn't say anything to Yen, choosing to stay quiet for the moment, but Ran later overheard her telling him that the relationship wouldn't work, that Ran was already 31, that he was still young, and that they would never fully understand each other. Yen didn't care about any of that, but Ran did. The words stuck to her heart. So when he came to talk to her, she asked him for some space, some time for him to think things through and decide for himself, without pressure. The next day, Ran had a business trip outside the city. She was supposed to return the following day, which happened to be Yan's birthday. She had everything planned, a surprise, a cake, a reservation, even arriving early without telling him. But her schedule got delayed, the reservation was pushed back, and everything fell apart. With no choice left, she called him, ruined the surprise, and told him the truth. They agreed to meet at the restaurant once she got back. Yen placed the cake she brought for him in a nearby store's fridge, then rushed to the airport to pick her up, not knowing she had already left the airport and was heading to the restaurant. The moment he found out, he ran back and they finally met. She apologized over and over for ruining the day, but he didn't even care. Just seeing her again was enough to make him forget all the frustration. Around that time, Yen appeared on a talent voice show. The show had a prepared script, a whole plan for which contestants he should compliment, what reactions to give, and what lines to repeat. But Yen didn't follow any of it. He spoke honestly, said what he wanted, and completely ignored their scripted plan. His raw sincerity caught everyone's attention, especially the viewers. Ran decides it's time for them to talk to Yen's mother again and make her understand their relationship. But the moment his mom sees how deeply they care about each other and how genuinely sweet Ran is, she basically forgets why she even objected in the first place. She warms up to her immediately. After that, Ran goes to visit her own family for a few days, but Yen just can't handle the distance. He goes all the way to her parents' house, keeps calling her to come outside, and she ignores every call. Then suddenly the doorbell rings, her dad opens it, and there he is, standing right in front of her. Her whole family welcomes him in, gets to know him, and ends up loving him. They even watch his show on TV and realize he's actually the famous Haisha. They all go home happy and proud. But the next day, everything blows up. Yen wakes up to news that the latest audiobook he recorded got leaked, and rumors say he recorded it without the author's permission. The accusations explode online. And it gets even worse when Yen posts a statement confirming that they did get the rights before his company says anything. That move backfires hard, because the author herself releases a statement saying they never had any rights at all. Turns out his company got scammed by someone pretending to own them. The backlash just keeps growing. People even start attacking Ran's game, the one where Yen is the voice actor. The hate gets so intense that fans begin messaging every brand connected to Haisha, pressuring them to cut ties. The talent show he appeared on uses the controversy as an excuse to cancel his contract, since they were already tired of him not following their scripted reactions. But the real damage hits Ran and her team. The entire internet turns on their game, because Yan's voice is part of it. Still, Ran and everyone on her team decide to stick with him no matter what, even if it ruins them. When Ran goes to check on Yen at work, she finds him completely burnt out. The non-stop attacks crushed him. She calms him down, takes him home, and tells him the backlash got worse because he spoke too soon, that he should have waited for his company to respond. But he gets upset at her for saying that and asks her to leave, and they stay in this tense, distant place for a while. One day, the main investor behind their game meets Yen in person. She tells him straight, he's hurting Ran's project, her dream, and the rumors about him dating Rand are only making things worse. If he truly cares about her, he should step back because Rand doesn't want to cut ties with him, but she might have to if things keep going this way. Yen decides to do it. He goes to Ran, makes things right, and spends the whole day with her. But the next morning, she wakes up to find him gone, and he's posted an announcement saying he's pulling out of the game completely. Then he disappears. Ran breaks down, and her team has no idea who could replace him. That's when Jiang shows up and tells him he'll do the voice work himself, because before Yen left, he asked him to take over. Yen, meanwhile, travels far away and isolates himself. One day, by chance, he runs into an old friend who invites him to see a project he's working on with his team. They need another voice actor but have no budget and no time. Yen decides to help them and records every character for free, but he keeps his name hidden. They don't know he's Haisha, and they don't know anything about the drama around him. They submit their game to a competition and they win first place. Whenever people ask who the mystery voice actor is, the team just says it's a secret. But Ran and his loyal fans start to get suspicious. While Yen is away trying to rebuild himself, Ran is falling apart. She throws herself into work, and her team pushes forward, deciding to finally release the full version of the game. But on launch day, everything crashes. No one knows why until they discover a hacker group is attacking the servers. Ran meets with Lon and John, and they suggest negotiating with the hackers. But she refuses to deal with them or pay them anything. So, she decides to shut the game down temporarily to protect the players' devices. Because of that, Lon and John temporarily remove her from the project until she finds a solution. Ran hits rock bottom. She sinks into a deep slump until her dad shows up, cleans her place, comforts her, and helps her pull herself back together. She starts trying to heal, going out to record sounds of nature and the wind, just like Yen used to do. She keeps posting these clips, and when Yen sees them, he realizes how much time he's wasting without her. He wants to go back. He books a trip to return to her. And at the same time, Ran misses him so much that she decides to go to his place and clean it up, so no matter when he comes home, it'll feel warm and ready for him. By chance, Ran finds an old novel, the same one that actually started her whole connection with Yen years ago. Back in college, they first crossed paths in the campus library. She wanted to borrow the exact same comic volume he was holding, but he'd already reserved it. She grabbed another book, annoyed, while he quietly watched her from a distance, instantly drawn to her. A few days later, she went back hoping to borrow that volume again. This time it was on the shelf, and inside, she found a note he had left for her, saying he hoped she found it this time. She wrote a message back inside the book, letting him know she did. And from that day on, whoever got the book first would leave a message for the other. Through those notes, he learned her favorite character was Haisha, which is why he eventually chose it as his online name. He stayed a silent admirer all that time. He even watched from afar when she met John and started dating him, always too unsure to step forward. Ran realizes he was the mystery guy from the library when she sees their old notes still tucked inside the book, stamped with the university library logo. She also figures out how he even managed to buy that library copy. She had once joked that the only way to get it was if someone lost it and replaced it. So he pulled exactly that stunt, claiming it had been missing and offering them a replacement, just so he could keep the copy with all their messages. And at that exact moment, Haisha finally comes home. He finds Ran sitting there emotional and crying. He apologizes for leaving without a proper goodbye, and she apologizes for not recognizing him sooner. They make up instantly and fall right back into each other's arms. Around the same time, Bing and Bai finally figure out their own feelings too. After Bing keeps chasing her for a while, she eventually accepts him, and they officially get together. Later on, Ran starts feeling like something about the whole scandal wasn't adding up. After digging around, she notices that most companies who went through similar attacks ended up being bought out by the same massive corporation shortly after. Her suspicions get stronger. Then one day, she hears from Chun that the new employee they hired recently suddenly quit and was later seen meeting with an executive from that same major company. Ran goes to confront her, and the girl admits she never knew they were planning a hack. She had only been asked to notify someone the moment the game's launch date was confirmed. The girl admits she quit the company out of guilt, but Ran tells her to rethink it. She reminds her she's a good person, that her spot on the team is still open, and that if she wants, Ran can help her make sure the man who used her gets what he deserves. Meanwhile, Yen manages to convince the author who previously refused any reconciliation to let him buy the rights to her novel for double the price. He apologizes for the misunderstanding and for posting online without confirming the truth first, which only made things worse. He releases a public apology to all his fans and returns to work. At the same time, Ran successfully rallies the smaller companies who were hit by similar attacks and gets them to unite so they can expose whoever was behind everything. This scares the executive responsible, and he tries to meet her to smooth things over and avoid consequences, but she refuses. She files an official report using the former employee's testimony as proof. The giant company he worked for starts investigating internally. Once they confirm he really orchestrated the attacks, they fire him immediately, release a public apology, and cooperate with the police to take him to court. They also admit that he helped fuel the hate campaign against Haisha, knowing it would damage Ran's game even more. Ran returns to her company feeling relieved and proud, and finds her whole team celebrating her. The girl who quit comes back too. Everyone forgives her, welcomes her in, and they all move forward together. A little later, they relaunch the game, fully fixed, polished, and improved, and this time it blows up. It becomes huge, trending everywhere, and absolutely dominating. Around the same time, a behind-the-scenes clip leaks from the show Yen had appeared on, the one that rigged results. The video shows a staff member trying to convince him to cheat, and him standing his ground and refusing. Overnight, the public switches sides, supports him, and his fanbase skyrockets all over again. He gets invited back to host his own show, which becomes even more popular after everything that happened. Offers start flooding in, but he chooses one project that matters to him the most, a charity program helping visually impaired kids. Ran encourages him, and they visit the center together, spending time with the children while Yen reads stories for them, making them laugh and listen in awe. One day, out of nowhere, Yen decides that's the perfect moment to propose, while they're brushing their teeth in the bathroom. He just slips the ring on her finger, like it's the most normal thing in the world. She stares at him shocked for a second, then tells him okay, and they both go right back to brushing their teeth like nothing happened. And eventually Yen and Ran throw the most beautiful wedding. Yen stands there in front of everyone, pouring his heart out about how much he loves her, and the whole place gets emotional. And right when everyone thinks the night can't get any better, Bing gets down on one knee and proposes to Bai in the middle of the wedding. She says yes, of course, and the whole place erupts in happiness. And that's it. That's the end of today's series recap. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any new videos.